USDA is expecting net farm income to fall nearly 32% this year. That agency estimate from February will be updated in about a month, but is currently projected to be the lowest since 2009. As we told you last week, UNL is estimating a bigger drop for Nebraska, a reduction of 45% from a year ago. At a recent conference, we talked with Purdue University ag economist Mike Boehlje about how agricultural producers can better manage through the tougher times ahead.
Well, certainly the grain sector is encountering a unique period of time, at least compared to where it's been for the last 5 or 6 years. We see farm margins negative. We are talking in Indiana about numbers that are typically about $100 to $150 an acre for covering total costs. We're still covering variable costs, but except for a farmer who's renting a lot of his land. Now, if he or she is renting a lot of land, then they're even struggling with covering their variable costs. But generally, we're underwater here in terms of our costs. The dilemma that we are concerned about is that we don't see that this problem is going to go away very rapidly. We're building up inventories. Our stocks are going up, and so price recovery is going to be pretty modest at best. Maybe, in fact, on soybeans, we're going to get further weakness in prices over the next couple, 3 years rather than a strength in prices. So that means that cost reductions are kind of the name of the game. We're going to have to figure out how to maintain productivity, in fact try to enhance productivity, but at the same time figure out how to lower those costs.
If you are talking about looking at a couple of years of this, other than cost control, what are some things that producers need to be aware of?
Well, probably the first thing they need to be really concerned about is their working capital position. Working capital is always perceived to be the first line of defense against financial stress, and that's really true. Grain farmers have, unless they made major capital expenditures in terms of machinery and land, they're in pretty strong working capital positions. But what we ask them to do is calculate what we call the burn rate on their working capital. What that means is how much will their working capital come down as a function of again, their cost structure not being reduced as rapidly as they'd like. And we expect to see farmers burn 5 to 10% of their working capital per year. And that may be over the next 2 or 3 years. So farmers have to have stronger working capital positions than they have. They need to worry at all as well about how to do whatever they can to protect their margins with pricing, although that's not going to be very easy these days. So it's kind of working capital and cost control are the critical things. May end up having to have a conversation with their lender and restructure debt, get a longer repayment capacity and longer repayment terms on those debts. So some pretty tough decisions.
What type of protection can your insurance programs offer you during these times?
Well, hopefully we've signed up for crop insurance, and that's kind of already done, but we need to recognize that crop insurance, the way it's structured, isn't a particularly good long-term risk management strategy, because what happens is that it adjusts to the market. And so if we continue to have low prices, your crop insurance indemnity is going to continue to be lower than you'd like, et cetera. No doubt about it, we have to have any kind of casualty and other kind of insurance we can have. Some people buy up on insurance in terms of hail and other types of insurance, and so this may be a time when we just can't take very much risk, and we need to pay a little bit more for some of our protection on the insurance side.
I want to close out talking about land prices. We know that cash rents are still expensive. We know that land as a whole is very expensive. For producers that are paying a lot for those cash rents, how do you recommend they look at what they made this year at the end of the year and think about what they're able to pay or what they should pay next year?
It's a really, really important question, probably the toughest question we're going to get, and they're going to have this next year. Should I abandon that piece of land, or should I continue to pay those premium rents? Because we don't think rents are going to come down very fast. We take what we call an options approach to this. We figure out what a fair rent is for the property, and then we say, okay, I know I can't rent it at that price, so the question is, how much premium should I pay? And the amount of premium I should pay, or the option I should pay, depends on how quickly I think this recovery is going to occur. If we're going to have a 4, 5, or 6 year period of time before we're going to get back to those positive margins, I maybe need to say, I better just walk away from it. we don't want to lose that land if we can keep it, because when things recover, we want to still be able to farm it, right? So we may have to pay a little bit of option and know we're going to lose money for a period of time to hold on to that piece of property. But we have to be very careful we don't overpay that option, and that depends upon the speed of recovery. If we're going to get a recovery to more positive margins in a couple, 3 years, we can pay a higher option. If we're going to not get a recovery very fast, we can't pay as much option. But the key issue is to be more rational about that premium we're paying, rather than to say, well, the market says this, I got to pay it, I can't ever give it up. Whoops, at some point, you might give up this piece of property, which doesn't fit very well with your operation anyway, and find that you get to rent to this piece of property, which is only 2 miles away rather than 30 miles away. So you ought to think about the alternatives rather than just say, I can't give it up under any circumstances.